There's a guy
who likes games,
and the best
that he's played
are the ones
that you'll see
on the top
100.
No, repeat that part. Top 100 games. Good.
Much like that I get a little bit, just a little bit freaky, that's right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that knows the lyrics to every single Bob Dylan song. A lot of yeah, and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, we are today, of course, looking at my top 100 games of all time, and in this episode, we're taking a look at my numbers 30 through 21. Without any further ado, let's take a look. Number 30 is a game that is new to the list this year. This game came out last summer, played it, loved it, big hit with my group. It's a fantastic space adventure, a big epic space adventure that has everything you'd want out of a big epic space game. And this, of course, is Forbidden Stars. This is an epic game from Fantasy Flight Games set in the Warhammer universe. Years ago, I was with a friend of mine who was collecting the Warhammer miniatures game, and he had a few of them out. And I remember as we were kind of playing with it, we were kind of experimenting with it. We never really got into it. We were kind of playing around with it. And I remember thinking to myself, and I mentioned this, I would love to see because we had read some of the Warhammer books. I said, I would love to see a big strategic board game, a la Twilight Imperium or something, based in the Warhammer universe. This is it. Forbidden Stars is that. If you even have a passing familiarity with kind of the Warhammer Space Hulk franchise, this game will be freaking awesome to you. If you know nothing about the Warhammer franchise, this game is still going to be awesome to you. It's just a great game. It's got a great combat system. It's got, great minis. It's got just great space science fiction / almost a little bit of horror adventure in there with the Chaos Marines and stuff. Really a lot of fun. It's got kind of these order tokens. You're each placing orders in different systems, and then the way the orders resolve is really cool. And you're thinking, oh, no, wait, I meant to do that first, or I meant to do that last. So you have to really carefully plan each turn, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So that is my number 30, Forbidden Stars, from Fantasy Flight Games, new to the list this year. My number 29 is a game that is also from Fantasy Flight Games, and this is also new to the list this year. I just played it around last Halloween. I think for the first time was around last Halloween. And it's a game I had probably for a year before that, and I just never got it at the table. And I finally got it at the table, and I'm like, why did I wait? It was such a great game. It's another game from Fantasy Flight Games. This is Letters from Whitechapel. Now, Letters from Whitechapel is a wonderful game of hidden movement centering around Jack the Ripper. Now, essentially, all the players are police officers except for one player who is Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper commits a crime, and suddenly all the police officers who are around the board, they start around the board, they know where the crime scene happens, and Jack has a number of turns he has got to get back to his hideout. Now, if he is caught by the police, or if he runs out of time, he loses the game. So the whole game it takes place over the course of 4 nights, I believe, 4 or 5 nights. And so he's got that many nights to try to outwit the police. And if he can do that every night, he wins the game. Otherwise, if the police catch him, the police win the game. I have to tell you something right now. I obviously play both as the police and as Jack. And Letters from Whitechapel is, if you're playing Jack the Ripper, the most stressful game I've ever played. Ever. I mean, literally, I was playing this game, sweating bullets, my heart was racing. At one point, I literally thought I was having a heart attack playing this game because it was so incredibly stressful, but it is so incredibly fun. It's a great hidden movement game. Not my favorite hidden movement game, but definitely up there. One of my favorite hidden movement games of all time. So I really, really enjoy Letters from Whitechapel. That is, again, new to the list. It was my number 29. My number 28 is an old favorite and old standby. In fact, it fell, but only 2 spaces. It was my 26 last year, but this is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is just a tremendously fun game of trains and trying to manipulate train tracks throughout Europe, through the United States or Europe, depending on the board you're playing. I think last year I divided Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe, and this year I just decided, no, I'm going to consolidate them. So I'm just going to say all of the Ticket to Ride titles. Now, I've only played 3 or 4 of them, and Europe's probably my favorite, though I did buy the big anniversary America one, and I enjoy playing that quite a bit with the really cool trains. It's just a brilliant, brilliant game. It's a simple game, but what I love about it too is not only is it simple and fun, it's accessible. When I say simple, I mean it's simple to learn and simple to play, but there's a complexity of strategy there, and it's one of those games that people can really get riled up with. If you've seen Holly on the show, who I play with a lot of games with, and she's reviewed a game. Hopefully, she'll be reviewing some more games here. She, one of the sweetest people you would ever meet in your life, and yet she called me a very dirty name once when I took a route from her in a Ticket to Ride Europe. So you got to watch that. But it's just a tremendous game. I love, love, love Ticket to Ride. A whole lot of fun. That is my number 28. Was my 26. My number 27 is a game that it did fall because, again, I haven't played it that much, but it's a game I really love because it's one of the most cutthroat games out there. It is one of those games that you can really screw people over with. It can be a tough, tough game for people that don't deal well with in-game betrayal and in-game, kind of take that. This is from AEG Dominique Air. Now, it was my 19, it's now my 27, but Dominique Air is part of the Tempest series of games, which is kind of the shared universe, kind of a fictional Renaissance-era kingdom, and it's just great fun. You're competing for control. You're different factions competing for control over the city, and the city's kind of like Venice. There's a lot of canals and islands, and you're kind of using influence in certain areas, but as soon as you're laying influence, somebody else can lay influence. And as you take over the islands and sections of the city, you get kind of power. But there's also kind of shifting costs in different parts of the city and shifting kind of influence it can give you. And by the end of the game, you're trying to amass the most points in order to win. It's a brilliant cutthroat game that I really enjoy quite a bit. So that is Dominique Air from AEG. That is my number 27. My number 26 fell a little bit here. It was my number 12. I really like it a lot, but again, I just found there were more games I was playing more, and some, frankly, I liked a lot better. This may be my favorite dungeon crawl I've ever played, and this is Level 7 Omega Protocol. Now, I didn't play the original Level 7 Escape. I didn't hear too many good things about it, but I heard people rave about Omega Protocol. And I thought, I want to pick this up, I want to try it out. So I went ahead, I picked up a copy, and I played it with some friends, and it won me over like that. And I'll tell you why. It's an all-on-one. There's kind of an evil, overmind alien guy fighting all the good guys. They're like Marines. They're coming in there, they're souped up, they're powerful, they got guns, they got power. They're in there to blow stuff away. But what makes this game cool and what sets it apart from a lot of other dungeon crawls is the fact that every time the good guys take an action, they essentially have to spend adrenaline that they put into kind of a common pool. And every one of those adrenaline tokens that they spend goes to the bad guy who kind of feeds on fear. And then he can spend everything that they have spent on his weapons against them. So every time the good guys are trying to do something or try to take actions, they almost have to negotiate. Do we really want to give the bad guy that much power? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I like it because it's got that negotiation aspect among the people. Should I do this? Should I do this? The characters are cool, weapons are cool. Everything about this game is just a whole lot of fun. Like I say, probably the best dungeon crawl I've ever played. That is Level 7 Omega Protocol. That's my 26, was my number 12. That is from Privateer Press. My number 25 is a game that is new to the list this year, but it is not a new game. In fact, if memory serves, it came out in the late 60s or early 70s. This was a game that was introduced to me by Kevin Cottam, who plays with us regularly. He bought this game, I think he said in the early 70s, and it's been one of his favorite for years. We've done some plays together, and he'd be telling me about this game. I'm like, that sounds amazing! And finally, last year, we got together, we played it for the first time, and I had to run out and find a used copy and buy it myself because it was so much fun. This is Origins of World War II. Now wait, it's not a war game. You're thinking, Origins of World War II, it's a war game. It's not a war game. This is a diplomatic game. This is a game of kind of trying to use diplomatic influence. And of course, you can be the big major powers. I think it plays up to 5. You can be Britain, France, United States, Russia, and Germany, I think, are the countries involved. And you're trying to get all of the kind of the smaller countries around Europe, Hungary, Italy, Belgium, Netherlands. You're trying to essentially vie for political control over all these smaller countries all over Europe and trying to kind of build up and meet your specific agendas. Some players get a lot of points for investing in some countries, some in others, and thematically, Britain and France are trying to avert World War II by making these alliances. And if they can make enough alliances, they can avert World War II. But if the Russians, if the Soviets get too many, then World War II kind of starts on their terms. And of course, if Germany does it, then World War II more or less starts on schedule, as it were. It's a brilliant game. It's a whole lot of fun. It's a negotiation game. And I've said it 100 times. I love, love, love negotiation games. This was from Avalon Hill. A very fun game. If you can, it's way out of print. It's a game that really deserves to be in print once again. So maybe if we make a big enough, loud enough stink, we can bring this game back because it deserves it. I hope GMT or one of the one of these other companies, Columbia Games or something. I hope they pick up on this scent and they say that's a game we need to look at. That's a game maybe we need to really exploit. So that is my number 25, Origins of World War II, new to the list this year. My number 24 did drop 10 points. It was my number 14. Again, what can I say? Not playing it as much, and again, there's just other games I like better. But this is kind of set a new standard, I think, in the genre. The genre is the zombie genre, and you're saying, oh, there's tons of zombie games out there. Well, this is the one that I think a lot of games do the zombie genre right. This game probably does it the most right. I am talking, of course, about Zombicide. This is a cooperative zombie adventure. You're all survivors, and you're killing zombies. As you're killing zombies, they're becoming stronger, but you're becoming stronger as well. You're getting more abilities, but they're coming at you stronger. So it's really a scary game, but it's got real fun artwork. It's pretty gory, so I don't know that it's for everybody, but it's a whole lot of fun. Cool Mini or Not's coming out with the Black Plague version here pretty soon. So it's Zombicide like in the Middle Ages. That looks like a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that. It's just a great game. They've put out several versions, and of course, as we know, this is just a Kickstarter behemoth. It's a monster. It seems like every time they do it, they're asking for a relatively modest goal, like $125,000, and they're making in the millions. I think this last one they made about $4 million. So and I can understand it. It's a great game, great minis, a whole lot of fun. That is Zombicide, my number 24. My number 23 is new to the list this year. This is a game that at first glance you'd say it's a war game, but you actually play it, it's not a war game. It's something quite a bit different. It's something quite a bit unusual. This is Churchill from GMT Games. There's kind of two parts to the board. There's a military side that's got a European theater and a Pacific theater. Then you have a conference side of the board, which essentially has 3 tracks. And the tracks are leading to Stalin, Churchill, or Roosevelt, and you're debating issues. And as you're playing cards, the issues are moving along the tracks toward you. And it kind of has a very Twilight Struggle-y kind of a feel. But as the issues move toward one of the leaders, essentially it affects the way the war plays out on the board. The Germans, the Japanese, they're kind of played by the game. And there's also kind of some bots that tell you how they're going to play, how any Churchill or Stalin or Franklin Roosevelt would play if you're playing with 2 or less players, or 1 player. So that's really cool. I've only played with 3 players, but I've really enjoyed it. I really think it's just a fun, interesting game that's something we don't... It's very unusual. It's something you really haven't seen before. I like it a lot. I love the historical flavor. I'm a big fan of World War II and reading about Churchill, and this game is just brilliant. It's a brilliant game of the Allied conferences during World War II. So that is number 23, Churchill from GMT Games. My number 22 is new to the list this year. It's a game been around for a few years, but I just played it last year. This is a game also from GMT Games that is... I've been going through the list talking about my Commands and Colors, all the Commands and Colors games I like, and this is it. This is my favorite of the Commands and Colors series. This is Commands and Colors Napoleonics. Commands and Colors Napoleonics is, of course, with blocks, and it just... I love the Napoleonic era, and I love the feeling of playing this Napoleonic game with moving guys, on your right flank, your left flank, or your center. And again, the Commands and Colors games, they're war games, technically, they're light war games, but they, I think, are some of the most accessible games you can play, war games or not. And I think there's a broad appeal to even non-war gamers, because these games are just so interesting. And Commands and Colors, as I say, is probably my favorite. One of the things I love about it is if you're using your cavalry to attack your enemy can form squares, just like Napoleonic squares, in which they get advantages, and the attacking cavalry get disadvantages. So it's really cool. I like to see those kinds of tactics actually those historical tactics come out in a game. I think it does it very well. It's a very fun game. So that is Commands and Colors Napoleonics. That is new to my list. It is my number 22 from GMT Games. My number 21 was a game that I kickstarted, and my name's on the box. And it is a game that looked very cool when I first saw it. Tom Vazel, I think, did a preview video of it, if I recall, and he really liked it, and that kind of sold me. So I went ahead and I went ahead and I did the Kickstarter. It was kind of a long production. It was longer than it was supposed to be. Surprise, like most Kickstarters. And I, like a lot of people, was getting a little upset, but not so much so because the designer of this game did such a good job keeping people updated and saying, okay, this is what's going on, this is where we are, this is how we're going. And he really kind of delayed it because he wanted it to be perfect. He kind of a perfectionist, and he wanted it to work well. So he did an amazing job designing this game and getting the components right. It comes with beautiful colored minis, beautiful kind of tile maps. This is Zaya, Legends of a Drift System. Zaya or Zia, I'm still not 100% sure how to pronounce it. It is incredibly fun. It's a game where you're going about the galaxy. You can be an honest trader, or you can be a kind of a pirate. You're trying to... You can do pick up, deliver stuff to win points, or you can do all sorts of crazy stunts to win points. And what's cool is you have different ships, and you can upgrade your ships during the game to get more points. And as you're upgrading your ships, you can actually put engine systems and shield systems and weapon systems. They're like Tetris-like shapes, so you're trying to fit these systems that can get more powerful and bigger into these kind of Tetris places, and still you need room for your cargo. So it's very cool the way this game was designed. It really is. It's really a lot of fun on a lot of different levels. I've played this game several times, and it's always been a hit with my groups that I play with, and it's just, man, again, it's one I gotta break out again. Old Zaya, Legends of a Drift System. It's a fantastic game. This is from Far Off Games, and brand new to the list this year, it is my number 21. Well, that is my numbers 30 through 21, so we're getting, again, closer and closer to the top 10 list. I'm really excited. We've got one more than my top 10. Again, I have a little bit of a surprise for you for the top 10 that I think you're going to enjoy, so you'll want to be sure to check that out, but hopefully you'll stick with the list. Please leave a comment here on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook page, or on our website. I want to know what you think about the list. I want to know, do you agree with me? Do you think I'm full of crap? It's always fun to get feedback and see what people think, so I really would appreciate that as well. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. We are the Discriminating Gamer. And did you know that Bob Dylan and Floyd from the barbershop in Mayberry were actually the same person? Hey, Andy!
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't...
And these games... Start repeating again. Start repeating again. And these games...
Oh, I was looking at something.
That's fine, just repeat. And these games...
And these games
that you play... are the best.
Are the best.
So he says... To be viewed... On YouTube...
On YouTube...
Are the top...
Are the top 20...
Repeat that part.
Sorry.
Top 100 games... There's a guy who likes games, and the best that he's played are the ones that just say to be viewed on YouTube, and the games that he plays are the best that he says are the top 100 games.
I thought it was around.
It's supposed to be.